Okay children, so in the first video I discussed about what is polynomial. Under that we discussed about many things, but mainly we focused on what is polynomial and what is degree of the polynomial. That's the two important things. Now in this video we are going to discuss about value of the polynomial and zeros of the polynomial. These are the two topics which we will be focusing mainly on this topic. And I think my first two videos will be mainly all about the concept. We are not discussing many questions. But from next video onwards, we will put more focus on questions because you must understand the concept first. So what is the value of the polynomial? Here your polynomial f of x is equal to 2x square minus 3x minus 2. As a reminder, how much is the degree of the polynomial? Maximum power of x is 2. So degree of equation is how much? 2. Now they are asking us to find the value at x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 1. What does that mean? It simply means give me the value of the polynomial when you replace x with how much? 2. So when we are replacing x with 2, that means in the entire equation, wherever we have x, that must be replaced with which value? 2. That means f of 2. Why I am saying f of 2? I am saying f of 2 because I need to replace x with 2 will be equal to 2 into 2 square minus 3 into 2 minus 2. So 2 to the 4 to the 8 minus 6 minus 2 and giving me how much? 0. So the answer I am getting when I replace x with 2 is how much? 0. 2 to the 4 to the 8 minus 6 and minus 2. Now what about x is equal to 1? Same procedure, I need to replace x with 1. So when I replace x with 1, I will get in 2 into 1 square minus 3 minus 2. So this will be 2 minus 3 minus 2. How much is the answer? Minus 3. What does that mean? And how do we read? We read f of 2. Remember I told you f of x. Like that only we should be reading f of 2 is equal to how much? 0. F of 1 is equal to minus 3. These are the values of the functions at x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 1. Okay. Now if you notice two things. One thing is when I replaced x with 2, I got the answer as 0, and when I replaced x with 1, I got some number. So the value of x for which the expression is giving us how much? 0 are called zeros of the function. I repeat it, and this is very very important. The value of x for which the expression gives us how much? 0 as answer, or the expression becomes 0 are called zeros of the function. Some people in other words sometimes say root of the equation. Root of the equation is also the value of x for which the expression is becoming 0. Here x is equal to how much? 2. So at 2 the expression is giving me how much? 0. So we can say 2 is root zeros of the equation, or 2 is roots of the equation. Get your point? So what is zeros of the equation? We will write this. The value of x, for which expression becomes how much? 0. The value of x for which the expression becomes 0 are called as zeros of the polynomial. It is also called as root of the equation, root of the polynomial, or root of the equation, whatever is it. Root of the polynomial, but generally we say this is zeros of the polynomial. Which value? The value of x for which expression becomes how much? 0. If you draw the graph, what happens? When you draw the graph, let's say I take f of x equals, let's say 3x minus 2. This is a function. F of x is equal to how much? 3x minus 2. So when I replace x with 2 by 3, and x is equal to how much? 2 by 3. So my f of 2 by 3 will become how much? 3 into 2 by 3 minus 2, expression is becoming how much? 0. What does that mean? That means 2 by 3, this 2 by 3 is zeros of the function. Now, how to draw this graph? Very simple. How will you draw the graph? Y is equal to 3x minus 2. You don't need to concentrate on what I am doing now, because we will have a complete thing in the 11th grade. I am not teaching you now, but how to draw the graph is very simple. I will replace x with 0. So y is equal to minus 2, and I will replace y with 0. So x will be equal to how much? 2 by 3. So my x is somewhere here 2 by 3 and y is somewhere here minus 2. Okay. When you go to the side, I think in the 9th grade they would have taught you how to draw the graph. You take the different value of x and for which you find out the different value of y. I think I'm sure they would have taught you. So if you draw the graph, you will get the graph like this. The graph will touch the x-axis at the point 2 by 3 and the graph will cross y-axis at the point minus 2. It is crossing the point at minus 2. Now, the zeros of the polynomial is how much? 2 by 3, because this is the point at which the function is becoming 0. What does that mean and what significance it has is, this is the point at which the graph of the function is crossing the x-axis. You must understand this. This is the point at which the graph of the function is crossing the x-axis. Sometimes it may touch also, but most of the time it will cross and it may touch also. So when I say zeros of the polynomial, it has one significance that the graph of the function is crossing through that point. It will always lie on x-axis. It will always lie on x-axis. So zeros of the polynomial has 2-3 points. Point number 1. Point number 1 is, at this point the function becomes how much? 0. Point number 2, it is also called as root of the equation. Point number 3, it will always lie on x-axis. Point number 4, whenever we draw the graph on the graph sheet, the graph will either cross through that point or it will touch that point. Get your point? Okay. Now, let's say this is my x-axis, this is my f of x-axis, and if I give you a graph like this, how many zeros of this equation does this graph have? 1, 2, because these are the 2 points at which the graph is crossing the x-axis. That means that many zeros I have for this equation. What about this one? How many zeros do I have? I have only 1 zeros. Why? Because the graph is touching the x-axis at how many points? Only 1 point. That means how many zeros do I have? Only 1. What about this one? The graph is not touching or crossing the x-axis any other point. That means we have no zeros. What about this one? How many zeros of the polynomial do we have for this expression? How many? 3. Why? 1, 2, 3. Get your point? So, how many zeros do I have? 3 zeros do I have in this question. So, very simple story. Zeros of the equation means the value on the x-axis at which the graph either will cross or will touch. That's it. Now, in 9th grade, you would have practiced many questions on the topic splitting the middle term. So let's say we have x square minus 5x plus 6. This expression, we are in 10th grade, so we will name them. In 9th grade, we were not naming it, so in 10th grade, we will name them. My f of x is x square minus 5x plus 6. Now, if you split the middle term, you will get x minus 2 into x minus 3. I am not teaching you how to split the middle term because I am 100% confident that you will be knowing it. Now, when I tell you to find out the zeros of the polynomial, so when I say zeros of the polynomial, what does that mean? It means the expression should give me how much? 0. So when I say the expression should give me 0, that means this is the expression and it should give me how much? 0. Now, when expression is giving me 0, the right side if you observe, these are the product of two terms. One term is 0, another term is 0. Now, when product of two terms are 0, that means either one term is 0 or both terms are 0. Correct? Remember, if product of two terms are 0, that means either one term is 0 or another term is 0. If this is 0, that means x minus 2 is equal to 0 and x is equal to 2. Or if this is 0, that means x minus 3 is equal to 0 or x is equal to 3. What does that mean? That means if you replace x with 2 in this expression, the expression will become 0. If you replace x with 3 in this expression, the expression will become 0. In other word or in standard word, I can say 2 and 3 are the zeros of the polynomial. Why zeros of the polynomial? Because these are the two values of x for which the expression is going to become 0. If you draw the graph of the equation will be like this. Here we have 2, here we have 3, this is the f of x, this point is going to be x. So these are the 2 points on which the graph is crossing the x-axis. So these are called zeros of the equation, or we can call them as root of the equation. This was all about values of the polynomial and zeros of the polynomial.